The Toronto Raptors nab loss number 40. Man, I'd be lying if I told you I thought the Raptors were going to be this bad when the season started, but that's what happens when you have a lot of okay, John, I appreciate you every time. I appreciate your attendance, but clocking me down for being 2 minutes late on a stream when we usually try to give people 2 minutes from when the stream starts because we don't do the intro roll. Okay. So I appreciate you getting hella annoying with that. I am underslept. And I just watched my team lose to the Boston Celtics, what feels like the 150th time, as what felt like 553s did not go in this game. The Raptors shot 15.2% from three. And I would be lying if I told you that that was the biggest reason that they lost. A lot of reasons that they lost come down to execution, come down to turnovers, come down to leaving corner shooters, come down to, frankly, not matching the Celtics' intensity. I think the Celtics came out and didn't do what they usually do. And if you follow this channel long enough, I'm a frequent critic of the Boston Celtics propensity to consistently play down to their opponent. Coming into Toronto, knowing Brandon Ingram's not playing, knowing Jakob Poeltl's not playing, Yak has given them a lot of trouble all year. We're going right back to preseason. Jakob Poeltl has probably been the most consistent performer against this team. He's carved them up for some big games. Knowing that he's not playing, that's it. It's this, right? Giving up offensive rebounds. You could do everything right on a defensive possession, but if you don't grab the rebound and they get another shot, it's like it doesn't even matter. Tonight, the Raptors were in this game. In theory, they were close at many intervals. You could make a case, perhaps, that hey, if you shoot 5 for 33, I got news for you. Mathematically, if you shoot 9 for 33, which is no one's definition of a great shooting night, you win this game. But that's not really how basketball works, right? There's a reason that they're shooting 5 for 33. There was a lot of stagnant offense today. That number that I often refer to, the 30 assist mark, the Raptors did not crack 30 assists tonight. They were at 27. There were moments where things were good for the Raptors. And one of those moments specifically came at the beginning of the second half. We're going to take a look at the film for sure. I forgot to put a call-in link in the description. So I'm just going to drop one right here. And I apologize. I'm just going to put it right there. And I'm going to star this so that I can occasionally show it. But yes, the call-in link is there. If you want to talk Raptors, tank, whatever, you got me. I'm happy to talk. It's a man. 40 losses. That number feels so surreal. To get to 40 losses before 18 wins and to still, at least in theory, be having this discussion about should we go for the play-in? Should we not go for the play-in? I got news for you, man. No Kristaps Porzingis tonight. No Al Horford. Before the game, we had noticed that it was going to be no Neemias Queta, but Queta ended up playing only to get cooked thoroughly, repeatedly. I don't know, I don't think Tillman played. I mean, shoot, you had really like free lunch. I know that sounds completely crazy to say that, but this was not like the full force Boston Celtics. No Jrue Holiday, right? Like they're missing a lot of important pieces here. They played Baylor Shireman minutes. I haven't seen that dude play 5 minutes all season. Granted, I've watched at least 25 Boston Celtics games. He does not play very often. They went deep into their bench, right? And you still got cooked. And I mean, one of the most guaranteed things about a Raptors Celtics game is that Peyton Pritchard is going to cook the Raptors. It's like, when I'm not one to ever put on sports betting or whatever, but they should just set the line for Peyton Pritchard, over unders for against the Raptors at like 22, because that dude is just thoroughly going to destroy the Raptors and I don't know why necessarily it is, because the Raptors have had some pretty competent defensive, guards this season between Davion Mitchell and Jamal Shed. But yeah, he cooked 35 minutes, and he was great. Tariq saying who he play for. Well, Baylor Shireman plays for the Boston Celtics, and he got busy with his one bucket tonight. But it's not like the Celtics played super well, right? I mean, Jason Tatum struggled from the field. He shot 7 for 18. I think Scottie Barnes did a good job. I think part of it is, of course, the Raptors, get lucky. They missed a ton of open shots. There was a sequence in this game where Derek White got back to back open shots from the left corner, missed it. And then, boom, Tatum hits one. Pritchard hits one, same corner, open every time. Today on the panel, right, I was talking about defense, and specifically we were talking about the Knicks defense. And why are the Knicks bad defensively? I mean, they have OG Anunoby. They have Josh Hart. They have a reputation defender in Mikal Bridges, who is okay, I guess, at certain things defensively, but certainly not the defensive stopper that they paid 5 first-round picks for. So when I look at that team, I'm just reminded that the perfect analogy to understand defense in the NBA is the Titanic. How did the Titanic sink? Well, I have no idea how the Titanic sank because I wasn't there. I'm not that old. I mean, I look old, but I'm not that old. But according to the movie that I watched in 1996 and remember very vividly, there's like certain compartments that can flood, right? If you flood 1, you're okay. Flood 2, you're okay. You flood 3, you're okay. But the minute you flood 4 or 5, you sunk. So it doesn't matter that somebody is holding down the first 4 compartments. If compartments 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 flood, you're done. You're cooked. And that's just unfortunately how defense works in the NBA. You could have Scottie Barnes doing everything right defensively. You can have Jamal Shed pressure the basketball. You can have Jonathan Mobo being in the gaps. But if Grady falls asleep, or if RJ does not close out correctly, or if Emmanuel quickly doesn't get back into the play, or somebody doesn't get an offensive rebound, that's the possession. They're going to get one more shot at it, or they're going to get an easy basket, or you're going to put them at the line. The Raptors, for their part, unfortunately, just play a lot of defensive liabilities, man. And I was not prepared. I was not quite prepared for how bad Emmanuel quickly has looked defensively at times since he's become a Raptor. He was pretty competent with New York. I tell you, all the analytics said Emmanuel quickly, neutral to positive defender. I would say he's been neutral to negative defender for the Raptors. And tonight he got hunted. Like they were looking for him every time. And that is pretty disappointing. And, I know that IQ is a very, very proud individual. So I hope that he takes that to heart. He's getting hunted defensively. I would take that to heart. I would definitely take that to heart. You got RJ Barrett and Grady Dick on the floor. You're the one being hunted. You're playing with 3 rookies almost all the time, and you're the one being hunted. So IQ needs to get a lot stronger. Now, take a look at the game here very briefly. 111, 101. You'd be fooled into thinking this was relatively close. I would tell you this. In the first quarter, it looked like they were going to get smacked. But a lot of turnovers, a lot of sloppy play, a lot of breakdowns defensively. I think the Raptors were competing hard, but it just didn't matter when the other team is scoring so effortlessly. The first 5 to 6 baskets of this game honestly felt like an all-star game. It was a layup line. Grady getting to the basket, no problem. IQ, no problem. Scottie, no problem. Well, Scottie, he did not actually score a basket. He got to the line initially. The first play of the game, I think Scottie Barnes got to the line. But he didn't score a basket until I think the second quarter. And so Scottie Barnes was just like a tale of very different, quarters for him. But overall, the defensive energy for either team did not really start out strong. The Celtics are just so much better executing, so much better shooting. And again, they did not shoot well by their standards. They're very, very capable of shooting 45 to 50% from 3. They have a lot of great shooters. Sam Hauser, Derek White, Jason Tatum to some extent. You look at this team and they've got some very capable shooters who can bury you, and they've got this elite spacing that consistently spreads you out, and they're wide open. They generate some of the best threes in the NBA. That's entirely their MO. Shot quality, that's their MO. So they generate great looks. You are terrible defensively, and one player playing up defensively, 2 players is not going to stop this ship from sinking. And I'm sorry, this ship is sinking. And I'm not sure, the 2 players who are currently out for the Raptors, I'm not entirely sure that they alone can raise it back to health. Yes, Brandon Ingram is probably a much better defender than RJ Barrett and Grady Dick. And yes, Jakob Poeltl is a significantly better defender, largely because he's older and more experienced and just, has the know-how than Jonathan Mobo. But do those 2 playing this game against a healthy Celtics team shrink the gap? Or were the Celtics missing about as much as the Raptors were missing? And this is just the gap between these two teams, 11 points, consistently 11 points. This is the same Celtics team that smacked the Raptors by 50 plus earlier. This is also the same Celtics team that the Raptors brought into overtime, where Jason Tatum hit that shot in which he traveled. And this is also the same Celtics team that the Raptors have already beat. So it's not like, the Raptors don't know how to be competitive against this team. I just think that it's worth noting that there's a gap between these two teams and how they execute on the basketball court. For the Raptors side, let me read out the three-pointers because apart from Ochai Agbaji, this is ugly. Jakob Poeltl, solid game, 0 for 2. Jamal Shed, solid game, great game actually. Both of them had like really good moments, competitive. Jacoby was mic'd up. He talks a lot more, than I would have initially thought he talks, but very good. 0 for 2, right? Orlando Robinson, solid. Did not shoot a three. Chris Boucher, 0 for 2. The only two shots he missed all night were from 2 or were from 3. Grady Dick, 2 for 7. Emmanuel Quickly, 0 for 6. Who had that on their bucket on their bingo card? He is a really good shooter, and he has been shooting pretty lights out lately. RJ Barrett, he shot 3 for 3 down the stretch of the last game in which the Raptors won against the Suns. He goes 1 for 5 tonight. Scottie Barnes, 0 for 5. He was so disappointed in himself after that last one. He was wide open. They were willing to live with any shot Scottie wanted to take. So positive, negative. Negative, 0 for 5 from 3 continues a trend, which is turning into the worst shooting 3-point season that Scottie Barnes has ever had, probably on any level, period. Because I think he shot 27% from 3 in college, but that line is, okay, like he's supposed to have progressed to at least a 34% 3-point shooter. I believe very much so that he is going to be north of 35 soon. But for whatever reason, his shot is just whoa, like right now. Like he doesn't look like he has confidence in it. It does not look like there's some of those like early games where he went like 0 for 8, 0 for 9, whatever. And they really do drag down your percentages. And I appreciate that he keeps taking them. But at some point, he's gonna have to get a lot better at making these shots because you can't be a moderate volume 3-point shooter and be shooting 26%. You just can't. Like you're gonna have to make an executive decision at some point and just be like, Scottie is just gonna be like Domantas Sabonis when it comes to 3-pointers. He's gonna take 1 or 2 a game if he's wide open, and until he can make them at least at a 32% clip. Like 29% 3-point shooting is a nasty percentage, man. Anyways, Jonathan Mobile 0 for 2. So, I mean, sum total, the Raptors shoot 5 for 33 from 3, and the Celtics shoot 15 for 51. Yikes. This was a brick fest. This was just a lot of bricks. Okay. In terms of team stats, the Raptors actually shot better than the Celtics. But guess what? The Celtics took 10 more shots. 10 more shots. And that is in part due to the fact that they got 12 offensive rebounds and also due to the fact that the Raptors got to the line 16 times. So it balances out a little bit, but all in all, it results in this, which is what this is. The Raptors turned the ball over 17 times, leading to a lot of fast break points for the Celtics. They got 18 fast break points. Points in the paint were actually on the Raptors side. That makes sense because the Celtics don't attack the paint. They literally just space you out and launch threes all night. Okay, let's take a look. We have one caller here. I'm gonna flash the link again. This is the link. So if anyone wants to call in, if anyone else wants to call in other than 95er, we'll get it. We'll get to that. Now, let me just quickly take this off for a second and we go to the film breakdown very briefly. How y'all doing, man? This season is almost over. It's almost in the can. And I am looking forward to this offseason. I'm looking forward. It's nice to see Ulrich up and about, walking. That was cool. Tough injury. As I said, Scottie, first play of the game. It's a little screen there. And this is the kind of stuff that he's going to get to do a lot more of with Brandon Ingram because Brandon Ingram is going to draw all sorts of attention. And then that's going to ease, it's going to free up sort of the AD buckets, right? Like you'll see like LeBron James will feed used to feed Anthony Davis at least 8 to 9 easy points a game. That's a great way to become a 25 point per game scorer. If you can get 15 points of your own and like 8 to 10 points off of easy shit like transition, putbacks, etc., there's your 25 points. And Scottie is more than capable of putting up 15 points in the half court because he's been doing it pretty much all season, self-generated. Okay, this is a terrible fast break. Okay, there's so much wrong with it, but not seeing this and then just losing the basketball like this. You know, Derek White's a very good defender. He stuffed a few Raptors at the rim tonight, but in large part is because the Raptors, you know, pardon my terminology here, they like to over penetrate. They like to overdo things, you know? Sometimes driving to the basket isn't the greatest idea. Read the fucking floor, man. Now, speaking of diving to the floor, there's Grady Dick with the first time I've seen that in a really long time. What a crazy play, just overall, to have the presence of mind and the coordination to do that was pretty nuts. Okay. Now, Scottie Barnes, at least for about a few minutes there, really took over this game. And it was very inspiring to see what a motivated Scottie can do to a defense, because there wasn't a hell of a lot that the Celtics could do. Now, they tried everything on him. You know, they tried Jason Tatum, they tried Peyton Pritchard, they tried Neemias Queta, they tried Derek White, they tried a lot of different things, different looks. They didn't want to aggressively double, but here they're going to send this double, and Scottie is just too big, right? So again, the outside shot's not going in, but shots like that are going in. Now here, you know, let's take a look at just some of the ways that Scottie Barnes got his game off. Here against Keita, right? Attacks, no playing around the basketball. There's just boom. And notice, I think a lot of people are saying, hey, the ball didn't find Scottie. The ball didn't find Scottie. Yo, sometimes you got to find the basketball. You got to find the basketball. You're the star player. Sometimes you just got to call them in and be like, hey, whose team are we on? Are we on my team or are we on your team? Give me the fucking ball. Don't miss me again, right? That's the Kobe thing. I've watched players a lot less successful and a lot less, you know, prestigious than Kobe Bryant pull that off, okay? Sometimes you just got to let people know who really is getting the touches, right? And Scottie here is just like, Emmanuel quickly is not going to pass you the basketball, you know, because of how you've been shooting. He's not going to pass you the basketball here. So here, he screams for it. I have an advantage, basically. Keita is not stopping me. Jordan Walsh is not enough help. The best defender is really on, frankly, the other side of the court right now, which is Derek White, and he's just going to attack away from Derek White. So boom, you know, little boom, get to the line, right? And that's really how good scorers do it. If you watch early in the season, Paolo Banchero, like what was he doing? I guarantee you it was like 16 to 17 plays like this every single game. Just downhill. Like that's crazy. Boom. Right? Just sweet touch on that insane jump shot there. Again, I continue to say his jumper and overall his game and his gathers don't look as smooth as they were looking earlier in the season. Maybe it's an injury, maybe he's favoring something, but I've seen this look a lot better. But hey, look at this. You could do this. Now, you might say, oh, the Celtics didn't have rim protection. Keita is literally on the court to be a rim protector. He is a legit 7-footer. He is in the NBA for just this reason, because that is not an easy shot. So my question is, if you can do that to Neemias Queta, then you can do that to Jonas Valanciunas. And you didn't. You can do that to Alperen Sengun. And you didn't. You can do this to Domantas Sabonis. And you didn't. I don't know why I just picked on 3 international bigs. My bad. My point is, you could do this to a lot of bigs in the NBA if you decide to put your head down. And that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes you see these moments of Scottie and you're like, okay, what's stopping you from doing this pretty much every time you want? Like what on earth is stopping you? What's stopping him? Who's stopping him from doing this? And that's the frustrating part about Scottie, because, you know, you try to tell people that this guy can be a 25 point per game scorer, but now he's averaging like 19.9 or 20 points per game. And you're like, damn, like he's averaging 20 points, 19.9, 20 points per game. He's shooting 26% from 3. It like actually is a really hard path towards 25 points per game. And I thought it was going to be a pretty easy path based on what we saw last year. Again, just needs to get a little bit more fluid and a little bit more consistent. Oh, we got a Coach Mo signing in the studio. That's going to be fun as hell. Okay, let's get through with with this film breakdown. Let's get to the Mo shenanigans. Okay. We already looked at that. Yeah. So, I mean, just different ways that Scottie could score. And again, right through Derek White and Neemias Queta. So now they do put the best defender on him. Again, right? Queta is sitting there just to help. Chris Boucher, he's willing to abandon him a little bit. And here, Keita's going to offer some help, and it doesn't matter. Boom, to the line again. He attacked relentlessly. And frankly, this is the Scottie we see in the playoffs. Like what we saw in this second quarter was basically playoff Scottie. Like this is what he did in the playoffs routinely. He's just quicker. He makes decisions quicker. He's much firmer about like, okay, I got to attack, you know? And here, you know, now you have Jason Tatum. What is he going to do? He's a great defender, right? Boom. Did you see that pass? Like sometimes you got to slow these passes down. That's why I'd be like slowing down Scottie's game film sometimes, because it's like, do you even appreciate? There's no way in hell right now you think he's about to pass this basketball, right? Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Such a great pass, man. Just a great pass, great setup. And again, right into Derek White, good rim protector. Too small. Too small. Take the contact, feel the contact, finish through the contact. This was just a great downhill attack type of game from Scottie. Now here, look at the work that two teammates do to free up a third teammate. This is great. Okay, so first you're going to see Scottie Barnes seal the help defender effectively in this case. You can see he's not calling for the basketball. He's just presenting himself as an option. But he sees Grady cutting down. And so he's like, okay, let me see if I can open up a lane here. So he's trying to just box out his man. And what it does is it allows Emmanuel quickly to find RJ Barrett streaking down for what he loves to do, which is a left-hand layup. Look at the court position when RJ catches a basketball. Right? Terrible spacing by the Raptors. Grady should definitely be much further out, and Jonathan Mobo should probably be clearing out. But here, Emmanuel Quickly is just going to make a really great pass. It's not the only great pass Emmanuel Quickly made tonight, so that's been like one thing that's been a little bit impressive. This is something that's not impressive. His ability to sometimes read the game is really piss poor. Now here, Scottie was, you know, in the way. You definitely do not have an angle for this drive at all. This is a very, very, very shocking comment. Respect your opinion, but I very much disagree. But that was like, whoa. You'd rather build around RJ? Yikes. Definitely do not want to be building an offense around, you know, an opportunistic scorer like that. Like you have to observe the weaknesses here as well, right? Like if you see what happened to this game, if you watch this game and you walked away from it, bro, Scottie has been bad. Bad what? Like bad offensively? He's still a much better passer. He's still a better paint finisher technically. He's just not a higher volume scorer. Like that's a very, very shocking take, but sure. To each their own. Wow, I'm maturing. Okay, cool. So Emmanuel Quickly, boom. And it's just like you cannot drive into this congestion. Like this is just terrible. Like at what point did you make up your mind that you were going this way? And why doesn't Scottie Barnes then decide to clear out? And Scottie just gets in the way, thinking maybe he'll clear Peyton Pritchard out. But it's like you're just creating a really congested passing angle there. Like you need space, man. Like I'm gonna trust that Emmanuel Quickly can at least get a step past Jason Tatum. But once he gets that step, Scottie being in the way is just, yeah, I don't know. Bad. Okay. Now, the aforementioned open threes. Okay. Now here, we're going to see Jonathan Mobo. Is that Jonathan Mobo or RJ Barrett? My bad. I think that was RJ Barrett. Yo, why can't I see? Gotta slow this down like the Zeprudar film. Yeah, it was RJ Barrett. So RJ Barrett gets stuffed at the rim by Derek White after another forced drive. And then here we go. Saying RJ is not number 3. What are we talking about here? Yo, am I crazy? That is RJ Barrett, right? Right? Am I losing my mind? Am I so sleep deprived from all this Penance prep that I can't tell if that's RJ Barrett? Yo, next time I'm gonna record more of the clip. That's weird. Okay, I gotta like go now, check out the timestamp. Anyways, and then here you're gonna see the Raptors drop another corner shooter, and it's just like, dude, he does not need this much space to score. He really could have done with a lot less. So it's just like it's a compounding issue of overdriving the basketball. And here, I mean, this is what you do. This is what you do. You know, you suck in that defender. When Keita commits, you lob it over to Chris Boucher. This is simple basketball. Or you swing it back out to Jacoby. It's like basketball can be very simple. And the Raptors have shown, you know, multiple times that they have this, you know, ability to play the right way, but then occasionally they just get lost in the weeds. Anyways, let's bring on 95er. You've been waiting patiently. What's up, 95er?
Hey, what's going on, Rob? You good?
I'm good.
Hey, man, wishing you the best with Pendants and everything there. Keep your head, man. You got this. I just
Mm,
want to talk about Scottie a bit, man. And I think what people are missing with Scottie is he's an emotional player. For better or for worse, he's an emotional player. And when he's invested emotionally, that's when he takes it to the next level. You're looking at a guy who had the majority of his all-star teammates leave in the middle of last year. He took on a leading role at that point in time. He's on a tanking team right now.
mhm.
What do you expect from the guy, night in and night out, if he's an emotional player? Like when Tatum was on him, and so when he was on Tatum, and Tatum was just scrambling on Scottie, that was an amazing play by him. I thought he was just all up in his face, his grill mouthing off at him. That shows you the potential he has.
I mean, this is back-to-back games.
Yep,
Tatum, Durant. These are two of the best forwards in the NBA. And he just
exactly.
did a great job. They both shot horribly against him.
But that's who he is, though. I mean, he is a guy who, when he's invested, he can put himself into a situation where he is the star doing his thing and has a chance for victory. He kills it. Like he's fourth quarter Scotty last year. That was his big thing, right? Even if you look at his 3-point shooting splits, like he's a 40% shooter from the baseline, next to the bench or looking at his own bench. You know what I'm saying? Like that's part of the motivational thing, right?
Mhm.
He's a guy who is driven by the people around him. When he gets to create shots in rhythm, he's a much better shooter. Like when he's backing down, he's shooting off in rhythm. It's a different player. So like you have to imagine with Ingram, with these guys coming in, and an offense that's actually cohesive next year that can create motion in the defense, you'll see a much better 3-point shooter. That's my belief. You know, he has the mechanics. It's not a lack of mechanics. It's really just, again, that spotlight, being in a winning environment, that'll be a huge thing for him next year. I'm not worried about that, you know?
I found his mechanics to be sometimes inconsistent.
Mm,
Like there are games where it's going really well, and right now it doesn't feel like he's getting a lot of lift from his legs
right.
at all. And it's consistent. It's consistent with the finishes. So
Mhm.
there was a period of time before. There's been a couple of periods, couple of stretches this year where he shot competently well. Now, the problem is that in order to compensate for god awful, you need to shoot lights out to end up at average, right? So
Right.
he's oscillating right now between competent and god awful, right? As a 3-point shooter. And
Mhm.
I found that at times his jump shot looks a little bit rigid, like his entire body, you know, I don't know if you play basketball, but
Yeah.
you did. Okay. You
Yeah.
know, the best shooters have one motion, right? Everything is
Always.
just
Yeah.
all in
Yeah.
one flow. There's not a disjointed, herky, jerky, because the more parts you have, basically, the more it can break down, right? So Scotty's entire jump shot is like 3 motions, and that to me is the discouraging part right now. It's just like
Mhm.
sometimes it feels like a lot smoother and sometimes it feels a lot worse. Last offseason, I gotta tell you, watching it, in the offseason looked a lot better than it does right now.
Mhm.
But growth is not linear, and, this is a player that I trust to work very hard. He has advanced certain parts of his game, but I at least understand the people who be, like, looking at him right now and being like, "It's the same player we saw in year 1." He's not, obviously,
No,
he's gotten better at so many things, but I can understand that if you catch him on a really bad night, you'd be like, "Yeah, it's the same fucking player."
but I think the question is like you come down to end of the game. Who do you want taking that 3 point shot? Even though Scotty is a 27% shooter on the year, I want him taking that shot in the fourth quarter over RJ, over Grady, over whoever. I don't care about the
Really?
numbers. That's a. I think he's clutch.
You want him taking threes?
I would want him taking an open three if he gets it. Create motion in the defense, step out to the 3 point line, and take it. Because I trust him in a clutch situation more than I trust other guys. RJ's been pretty decent this year, but like Scotty has, in my opinion, that mentality of a clutch scorer. And I want to
Mm.
feed that if I'm Darko right now. That's my thinking.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've never wavered in years prior to saying that Scotty can be not only the best defender, but also the best scorer on a championship team. And that's why the potential is so high. And that's why, you know, the, yeah, like that's just why I'm so bullish on him because there aren't 5 players in the league that you could say that about. Like you
No,
can say that about Wemby, you can say that about Scotty, you can say that maybe about Chet if he gets healthy. There just aren't a lot. You can never say that about Paolo. Yeah, so but
no, but like,
the
like, 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 legit question though. You take Scotty, you put him in the Celtics lineup in place of Tatum. You don't think he's hitting 30 a game, getting 10, 12 assists per game, and rebounding 10 rebounds a game?
30 a
Easy, man.
game is a mentality, my friend. So 30 a
Yeah,
game is a consistent mentality, and honestly, even Tatum has his 14-point games. So, sometimes you have to score 40 to make up for those 14, 15-point games. It's like, Scotty, he at times, to me at least, lacks that consistent gas as a scorer to say, until they stop me, I'm not stopping. Right? It's
right.
it's an aggression. It is a scorer's mentality. And there are certain players that have it and certain players that have to really work on it. And from I would say 99% of players, it never quite gets there. Like,
Mm,
natural scorers like Anthony Edwards and Devin Booker, they were scoring since they were, in their mom's womb, right? Like they just born to try to score the basketball, right? Now I don't like that doesn't mean that you can't be great. It doesn't mean that you can't be the best player in the league. Magic Johnson, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, Nikola Jokic. Like there's tons of players in the NBA that never crack 30 points per game. Well, Jokic get really damn close right now. Usually, like the other guys didn't. They never cracked 30 points per game. Magic never cracked 30 points per game. But the consistent element of this is force. You
mm,
must play with an incredible amount of force at all times. And that means you are looking to score. It's just you're more likely than most people to pass when you get the double team. So I was perfectly cool with Scotty passing out of double teams earlier, but the way the Celtics played him tonight, I don't feel warranted his lack of involvement offensively. I feel like he could have been a lot more involved, and I think the
right.
Raptors would have been better off for it. Now, obviously, Scotty can say one thing, through the media and say like, "Hey, I don't fucking care about the tank," and blah 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 blah. But of course, he's not a dummy. Like he knows, like 18 and 40, like you know, you know what I mean? It's like there's this idealized version. Like we all think like if most people found out that their company was going under in 2 weeks,
Exactly.
they would have the most pissed off, like they would have the most like pathetic effort for the next 2 weeks you would ever imagine. DeMarcus Cousins had a great reel, it came out. I don't know if you saw it, where he was talking about, actually, I'm gonna play it for you. But yeah, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, man, that's exactly it. Like, I think once he's in an environment where winning is the mentality, where the culture has shifted away from a bunch of young guys just trying stuff out, like, I think it can make a huge difference. Like I'm saying, if you put him in the same role as Tatum, with the same confidence and swagger, if he can get to that point in his career, with
Sure.
that skill set, with that body, with that mindset, Like that's what you're aiming for with Scottie. You can't get that from RJ. You can't get that from anybody else on this team. So all this discussion of comparing, there's no comparison. If he's in that mindset, in that environment, you build that culture you're aiming to build here, man, he's untouchable. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm with you, and I take all the crap for it, but like he's got all the tools it takes to be a superstar in this league. It's just environment. That's what it is. I think
I
that's
think
missing.
I think he can be a superstar. I just don't know if it's going to look the way people want it to look at times, right?
Mm,
Like if the scoring package gets a little bit smoother. There's a player that I often think of when I think of Scotty, which is Rasheed Wallace, right? And again, not aesthetically, not in terms of temper or whatever. Rasheed was also weirdly enough a very emotional player, as we all know.
mhm,
And there were games where you would watch Rasheed, and this is not a guy who ever averaged like 29, 30, 27. He was on stacked teams his whole life. But when you really wanted like 2 points, there's nothing you could do to stop Rasheed Wallace. That's just
yeah,
not his mentality. Rasheed had this, like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. And he won a lot. And I don't remember anyone sitting there dissecting Rasheed and saying, like, man, if he could just take 6 more shots a game, he'd be like on Shaq's level. No, but there's early moments in our lives that sort of, uh, just stay with us. And there's a moment that I often go back to where I was watching the NBA playoffs, and it's the Portland Trailblazers against the Los Angeles Lakers. And the the Blazers are having a hell of a time trying to guard Shaquille O'Neal. And the commentator, can't remember who it was, but he says, the Lakers are complaining about Shaquille O'Neal, the Blazers are complaining about Shaquille O'Neal. And then the other commentator says, yeah, well, the Lakers, they're complaining about Rasheed Wallace. They don't have anyone that can stop him. And it's just like, you watch it and it's just like, damn, they have nobody. Scottie can do that. Scottie is
it
so
is.
physically huge as a human being that if he puts his mind to it and if he refines his game, he will be that 24 point per game scorer who can pretty much score 45 whenever the hell you want, right? It's just in order to score 30, you gotta really want it. Like you really gotta want to see yourself as a scorer. You gotta identify as a scorer. You gotta have that, like kill, kill a mentality. And it's just like if you could put, like, I'll give you an example. Like, and I'm just, we'll end it on this, but if you could put RJ Barrett's mentality on scoring, or Brandon Ingram, well, not Brandon Ingram, no, RJ Barrett, specifically RJ Barrett, his bucket obsession, let's call it that.
Mhm.
If you put that in Scottie's brain, he'd be better than Jason Tatum. And that to me, or at least on par, and that to me is probably the most frustrating part about Scottie, is that it's not about physics and it's not about anything else. It's just you're fully capable of going out and averaging 27, 28 points per game. Fully capable. But you choose to pass, you choose to float in and out of games. And that to me has to change. It has to change. Like that's not AAU anymore. And even with Brandon Ingram, that's not a reason to defer more. Actually, that's a reason to attack more, in my opinion. But yeah. Anyways,
Yep. Appreciate it, man. Thank
yeah.
you.
Thanks so much, Pierce. Coach Mo, what up, man? Long time.
Yeah, man. I forget which game you kind of went in on Scotty a couple games ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening. Yeah, I want to say I was proud of you, bro, because we were all thinking it, we were all feeling it, and you said you'd stop calling him a superstar.
Yeah, until
Yeah, I agree. I was the biggest, well, besides you, big Scotty fan, and high hopes and everything. I'm tapering back. The disappointing thing about this season is I think we can all agree, especially you thought Scotty would be better this year than he is. Obviously. I'm sure you thought IQ would be better than he is this year. Barring
honestly,
injuries, you thought you'd be better.
there's one thing that's holding Scotty back from what I expected him to be, and that's his 3-point shooting. Apart from that, though, like his level up as a defender is insane. Like what he's doing defensively is truly like it's
I
OG level shit.
okay.
And we never expected OG to carry an offense ever. We don't have a lot
We're
of
not
players
building
in
around
this
OG.
league that carry both ends. And today we saw like he carries both ends. You know, when things are going right for him, he's not only your best defender, because he's been your best defender all damn season. I implore you to point to someone who's better than him on this team defensively. Please don't say Jakob Poeltl.
No, there isn't. There isn't.
There's nobody better than him defensively on this team. And, you know, there was a stretch between January 13th and January 31st where the Raptors were the #1 ranked defense in the NBA. Dude, he carried that shit. And now we got, you know, resident one here saying RJ's better. So that's like, to me, it's like, okay.
That's nonsense.
It is nonsense.
That's nonsense.
So like that to me is like, it's a delicate discussion with Scottie, because it's like, I don't know, man.
You're right. The 3-point shooting has been mad disappointing. It's been pathetic, actually. And if we were winning, I'd ban him from shooting threes. Like if we were winning, his pull-up threes should be banned. He should be fined. But again, we're not winning, so it doesn't matter. Launch whatever you want to launch. Get us a lottery pick, right? We just help our odds. So do whatever you want. I don't even care. Season's a write-off. But his issue is his mentality and 3-point shooting combined have basically made it impossible for him to make an all-star game and sprinkle in some injuries. You factor that in, like in and out, just floating in and out of games, can't make a three to save your life, and you're injured for, I don't know, 20% of the games. Yeah, especially early on. Yeah, you're not touching an all-star game.
Yeah.
I mean, when people see that 3-point percentage, it's jaw-dropping.
Yes. And yet, if I tell you right now, if someone wants to do this, go in and adjust his 3-point shooting to something, let's say reasonable, 33%. Just go with 34%, what he shot last year.
How about we
on the volume that he's shooting this year, if he's shooting 34%, I'll tell you right now, he's a 23 to 24 point per game scorer. That's the gap, because that's how many threes he's taking. 23.5 points per game, and no one is talking shit about Scottie right now, right? It's because the 3-point shot is not going, and it's because it's been shaky at best the entire way through. We've never seen like an entire season. We've seen months. We've seen weeks of great 3-point shooting. 7 games to start his second year, 50% from 3. 3 months to start his third year, 40% from 3. He's shown he's capable of it, but it's just getting comfortable with it.
More, but the larger sample sizes, he sucks at threes.
Mm-hmm.
Those have been bigger, and longer.
Yeah, he's 3 times the scorer at the moment, bro. I'm trying not to lose my mind here because I'm so underslept. Okay, I don't know who you think RJ Barrett is. Okay?
Yeah,
but if RJ Barrett is forced to create against a set half-court offense, it is putrid, man.
I'm not even here to defend Scottie right now, but when was the last time RJ did a turnaround, mid-range fadeaway? He
is so one-dimensional as a player, man. Yeah. If he's not hitting open catch-and-shoot threes, he's driving downhill without a plan. And if he makes it, he makes it. And if he doesn't, he doesn't. And you're going to have to understand at some point that he's a very opportunistic scorer. We all played with them in high school. We had those guys. They got out in transition. They got the backdoor cuts, etc. They could drive out on a closeout. But he's not being guarded by the hardest matchup every night. He's not getting double teamed and triple teamed. And by the way, when he performed a lot better than I expected. So, you know, congratulations. But you weren't winning games then, and you're not going to win games with him as a first option. That's not how the NBA sees him. That's definitely not how I see him. But if you see him that way, that's cool, man. It's like I said beginning of this year, I said, I don't actually think there's a big gap between RJ Barrett and Paolo Banchero. In terms of like offensive engines, I don't think if the Magic just woke up one day and were like, oh, now you got RJ, I don't think it's that big a gap. And people thought I was insane. Well, this year, it hasn't been that big a gap. Granted, you know, Paolo's been injured, but I love how we give Paolo so much leeway for being injured, but we don't see that tape on Scottie's right knee, and we don't give him any, slack for being injured. And oh, by the way, Scottie's carrying a much larger load defensively. And resident one, to be fair to you, have you ever played basketball at a level where you had to carry the defense and just found how exhausted you were doing it? And I'm not trying to sit here and cap for Scottie. Like, I get it. You know, I ripped into him pretty hard. I think I've been very fair and honest about him pretty much the entire season. Okay. But to be fair, we saw this last year too. When his defensive load was less, he shot 40% from 3. When his defensive load increased, he progressively shot closer to 30%, 28%. 26% is just bad. Okay, it's just awful. It is a terrible, shooting percentage. But I'll remind you, there are large swaths of Nikola Jokic's career where he shot 26% from three.
Not
Like,
this long.
I don't know.
We're into March almost. I mean, damn. But yeah, last year Jokic wasn't great. But I don't think Scottie's going to be a first option. Now there's still a chance, but I mean,
No,
I think
define
it's going to
first
have to be
option. Was Magic Johnson the first option?
no.
He
No,
wasn't.
Kareem was actually their
Okay,
first scoring option.
later in their careers.
Later in their careers, yeah, there was more of an up tempo, worthy stepped up, but it was
Do
like
you remember? Do you remember the New Jersey Nets that went to the finals against the Lakers?
yeah,
Who
they
was their
didn't
first option?
yeah, no, they didn't have
Was
one.
it
But
Kenyon
again,
Martin? No.
You're never getting there with a team like that. The East was that depleted of talent.
No, I get you, but I'm saying
That ain't
that
gonna
was
work
still
ever
a
again.
team that made it to the finals. So
Yeah.
who was their
That
first
ain't gonna-
option?
The first
It
option
was
on
Jason
that team,
Kidd, or as he was better known at the time, Asen Kidd, because he didn't have a fucking jumper. My point is,
I'm not even sure he led them in scoring, but I get what you're saying.
I feel like we just don't appreciate well-rounded players because I don't know.
No, I appreciate that he's well-rounded, and I want to keep him, and I'm glad we have him. But the number one option on a championship team thing, it's getting blurry. And can he be the best player on a title team? Maybe, right? I was more confident this summer, but it's going to have to be by committee. He's not going to be. I just don't see. It's not going to be a Giannis, Jokic, LeBron, title where it's like, dude, this dude is head and shoulders above the rest of his teammates, and it's not going to be that. It's not going to be Steph in 2022.
Sure,
that's not in the cards for Scottie. I just don't see it. He's not nearly skilled enough, and we're in his fourth year. He still looks like he has two left feet half the time, right? So I don't know. Is he going to be our most impactful player on the roster currently? Yes, unless somebody else comes. But in terms of our leading scorer,
he
said
legit
this year he'd be
usurped.
our leading scorer. You said this year he'd be our leading scorer. He's not. It's RJ.
That's fair, and that's in part due to the fact. I mean, it's just when I think about two basketball players, and one is producing 20 points on below league average efficiency, and the other one produces 22 points on below league average efficiency. And one of them probably saves you around 17 points per game defensively, and the other one costs you 6 points per game defensively. Like when I look at the impact of these two players, it's not splitting hairs. It's splitting like planets. Okay. There is a really big gap between RJ Barrett and Scottie Barnes. There's a big gap between Emmanuel Quickley and Scottie Barnes. In fact, when people watch Brandon Ingram play, I think they'll see that there's a gap between Scottie Barnes and Brandon Ingram as well. And, I think about Jason Tatum. A lot of people have had the debate if Jason Tatum is Boston's best player. I think it's quietly accepted by most that he is, but it hasn't stopped people from debating whether Jaylen Brown's better than him. I think that's a lot like Scottie and RJ. Jaylen Brown is in conversations with Jason Tatum, even though the analytics say Tatum's a better defender, he's a better shooter, he's the better creator, he's better at everything. But Jalen's game just looks better sometimes. Tatum's a little bit robotic, he's a little bit stiff, it's not very pretty to look at. He's just quietly effective. So look, I don't think Scottie himself would tell you that this season has unfolded the way he would want it to. He certainly didn't come out here and say, I want to go shoot 26% from three. But that's just the season he's had so far. Okay. Like he's had a lot of setbacks, a lot of, stop, go. And the spacing is atrocious at times, right? Like but there is so much progression in that mid-range shot. Like, do we forget just what beastly percentages he's been shooting there? There's progression as a passer. Like point Scottie, goggle Scottie that we saw was a fucking revelation, man.
My concern with Scottie is I agree with what you're saying, and there's no debate. He's much better than RJ. But one game Scottie would look fluid. The next game, it looked like he's just a newborn deer. And you're
Sure.
like, what
Yeah.
the fuck am I watching? What happened to the guy I saw the other day? Right.
Sure.
And we're just, and you talk about, one day it's all going to click, bro. Next year is his 4th year. No,
Okay.
5th year. Sorry.
Okay.
5th year, 24 years old. I mean, at some point,
Okay. But again,
this vision you're selling us, which, we love, but at some point you got to question things. But
okay.
this year, it's all good. This year, it's all good. This year, it's all good.
Here's the thing. Like the way I see it, right, is there's certain players that are going to peak and plateau at, let's say, 23, 24. Vince Carter's best season was when he was 24. Everything down there, everything after that was pretty much worse, right? But Vince came in and he was a bucket right away. Scottie came in and he was a project. Okay. That's what he was. He was a project. A lot of people said he was a project. Some people even joked that, oh, the Raptors have done it again. This is Bruno Caboclo. It's 2 years away from being 2 years of play. 2 years away. One of the most esteemed draft analysts called him a zero-level scorer. Now, did he set the stage a little bit too high by coming out and shattering expectations in a rookie season and winning Rookie of the Year? Look, I got news for you. As a person who pushed his Rookie of the Year campaign about as hard as any human being has pushed for a person who is not related to them by blood, I can tell you right now, the largest reason that he won Rookie of the Year is because the other players underperformed. 15 points per game is not usually good enough to win you Rookie of the Year. Can we be honest about that? That's a fact, right? So just because he was on track and everybody else was kind of like behind, right? And the Raptors were also winning, which really helped his case. I don't think like that means that suddenly he's got to come out and beat Shaquille O'Neal or, any of the other players who won Rookie of the Year. He was just ahead. He was ahead because he was supposed to be behind. And then suddenly he was ahead and people are like, okay, I guess he's the best player in this draft now. And I mean, yeah, he is, and he will be, in my opinion, but that doesn't mean that the initial tag of, hey, he's got 500 million things to figure out offensively goes away. He does have 500 million things to figure out offensively. And I think he'd be the first person to tell you that he has 500 million things to figure out. I've often said, and find me another Rookie of the Year that you could say this about. I said when he was in his first year that there are kids in AAU that are more polished scorers than him. 16 years old. And I guarantee you, I walk in any AAU game, and that is at least 2 guys whose handle is more compact, whose game is just more refined. Now, bag work can come later. It can come, of course. Like, we get a little impatient. We're like, okay. We expect you to do more here. Like, why are you not able to consistently create in the half court? He just doesn't have burst right now. There's like,
How many times are we going to say that? How many times are we going to say that? Because one thing I noticed about him, and Giannis kind of has the same, like, if you see, LeBron is the most Iron Man player for an extended period of time in history. AC
Sure.
Green is like Iron Man, but he didn't play like 22 years, right? Or has the mileage. If you see LeBron's body type, he's not all legs, right? He's not all legs. And he actually doesn't have giant feet. The problem with Scottie is he's almost all legs. He's all legs. He's all arms. He has big feet. Giannis has the same issue. Giannis has really long legs.
He's Gumby.
Yes. And Giannis has injury issues. Giannis is always injured at this point. He's missing like 30 games a year.
Well, touch wood. Hopefully the
KD has
ankle braces
injury issues.
helps.
KD has a hockey stick for legs. And he had issues early on. So I believe Scottie's going to have injury issues his whole career, just by the way he's built.
I think he can fix it. I've talked to some people that would know a lot more than me about this, and they think it's a pretty easy fix. Now, whether he's going to,
he's out here hurting himself half the time.
Yeah. I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, the Penance Film Festival. It is coming up on Thursday. It's not lost on me that Thursday is election day. We did not we scheduled this festival a year ago. Okay. And it is Thursday, and tickets are flying off the hizzle for Saturday, flying off for Friday, but Thursday is hard.
What's the marquee? What's the marquee on Saturday?
The main film?
Yeah.
It would be Crossing Duty. It's a comedy making its world premiere. It's great. The tickets are almost sold out for that. Almost 40 has been brilliant. I don't know if anyone's watched Copenhagen or Awake with Gina Rodriguez, but the short filmmaker from that is actually presenting his Canadian premiere for The Ugly Chickens. And Let Them Be Naked is a crazy documentary. It's about like all the harmful effects that our clothes are having on our skin. So skin is like the largest organism on our body, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's things in our clothes that can make us very, very sick. And the garment companies know this. And so this film, Let Them Be Naked, is a brilliant exploration and exposition of that. And the director will be there. And so, of course, and then on Sunday, we got basketball state, you know, and people are really excited about that. So
I'll be there for that one. I'll be there for the 12 o'clock one.
You're gonna be there? Okay, cool,
Yeah,
man. We're gonna
I'll bring something for you.
You're gonna bring something for me?
Yeah, I'll bring you some.
What are you bringing?
Just a small gift. It's nothing expensive.
Okay, I
Yeah,
appreciate you.
so
Okay, cool.
no pressure. Like you don't have to like. Yeah, I don't like giving expensive gifts
No,
because
I'm
it comes with a weird little. So yeah, it's cheap.
It's cheap.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Well, you know, shoot me a DM. I'll be happy to hook you up with some tickets. You don't gotta pay. It's fine.
No, it's all good. Also, I just want to say, Nicky Nurse, baby, can we just dance on his grave for about 5 minutes? Chat.
Fire
dance
that
on his grave?
bum. Fire that bum. Please fire that bum. I do not like Nick Nurse. I don't like, let that not be a secret to anybody.
Bro.
But yes, to conclude, election night is Thursday. Once you've voted, come out to Penance and enjoy some drinks with us and watch some movies with us. I'll tell you right now, Duino is one of the best films in Penance history. It is really good. And Deep Cuts is like, if you like dramas, Thursday night is for you. If you like high level dramas, international dramas, Thursday night is for you. And bonus, election night gift, 10 free tickets are available. So, you know, let's get it. We're almost sold out on the passes. So, I mean, there's a chance that I'm panicking a little bit, but I don't want any empty seats, man. I'll talk more about that later, but definitely like my view on this is like the world is very homogenized. Okay. If I tell you like what is the biggest problem with the world right now, like one of the biggest is groupthink. Like I cannot stand how everybody's watching the same shit and the algorithm picks and chooses because people just become so easy to control. You know what I mean? Like, and that's when I think like to myself, I'm like, wouldn't it be great if I walked into a room, asked 10 people what are they watching or what they watched this weekend, and all 10 of them said something different? You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. Like I think back, like, I mean, I wasn't alive, but like 400 or 500 years ago, I imagine when a book came out, people were damn excited to get their hands on that book, right? And now people are using books to prop up their fucking desks. Like we've lost the appreciation for originality. And, you know, people always say like, they don't make movies how they used to anymore. They don't make movies how they used to. And it's just like, bro, they do. You just can't hear about them because Amazon Prime ain't pushing it into your fucking into your timeline. So there's like some great, you know, work. There's a director for the Florida Project, Sean Baker, who just went viral because he was talking about this, and he's just like, look, like I want to make the shit that I actually care about. Like I want to make, because that's what we want from artists, right? That's what we want from painters, singers. We want to know what Rihanna actually thinks. We want Drake to write his own lyrics. We My bad. Okay, maybe we don't want Drake to write his own lyrics. My point is we want to know like that when we're hearing an artist and we're watching that is the work of the artist and not the work of 500 executives at NBC and Disney trying to tell them what they need to create in the perfect little algorithm. And so, yeah, that's why I think film festivals, especially good film festivals, are very, very important because you discover things that your friends won't discover. And it's, I don't know, maybe it's pretentious, maybe it's cool, but when people ask me like who my favorite films are, I never ever give them an answer that they're expecting. And that's just because I've watched a lot of shit. And it's like, we want everyone to be original, but if everyone's consuming the same bullshit, how can you ever be original in this world? You know what I mean? Like you will come on Sunday and you will watch Basketball State. And you will also, by the way, with that, be watching The Last Game. You'll be watching two films, one of which has never been seen anywhere in the world, which is crazy to think about, though, you know, in the small theater in Toronto, we're doing that. And another film that's never been seen by any of the 38 million people in this world. And it's just like, those are brilliant films. One is by a 15-time Emmy Award-winning director, John Albert. And you're going to be like among the first people in the world to see that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like to me, that's insane. That's the type of shit that like, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I get to do that. But most people are like, yeah, but I'll just catch it when it comes out on fucking Prime. And it's like, bro, a lot of these films are not going to come out on Prime. Not because they're not amazing. They're amazing. They're right on par with the shit you're watching at home. But the difference is, it's just they're not corporate. They're original. Maybe they're not, politically as correct as some of the shit that maybe they're not financed through, Brad Pitt's production company. So it's just like, I think independent artists in general just need to be celebrated and, championed. And I'll say this as a filmmaker. I went to Florida, my first big film festival ever. Bro, did I ever tell you this? I went to this festival.
You're talking about the ads?
No.
The ad
No.
stuff? Okay.
That was another festival. No. I was so excited. So my mentor had premiered his feature film at this festival in Florida. I consistently mention the Florida festival in Florida, and I'm so sure that someone could just check out which festival I'm talking about, but they had a great reputation. And my mentor, I reached out to him and said, hey, my short film just got into this festival. Should I go? Like, money's a little bit tight. He's like, yeah, definitely go. So I went, and I show up to this event, and I'm a little bit early. So I'm just kind of like, I took 2 flights. It was the cheapest flight possible, but it kind of landed me in the city a little bit early. So I had to wait for 6 hours for my hotel room to open up. I go into my hotel room, fucking figuring out Florida geography. Everything is so far from everything. You're taking like 45-minute Ubers to get from one place to the next. It's like you take living in Toronto for granted. And then get to the screening, and I'm so excited because my film is finally playing at this big festival, and it's kind of a big validation for a creator that, hey, like someone who really understands film thought my work was worth putting on the big screen. Dude, I walked into that cinema, and I thought I was in the wrong cinema because I was the only person in there for 5 minutes, and then an old lady came and walked in, and then 3 other people walked in who were volunteers, and 3 other people walked in, and they were filmmakers who were at the festival. And we watched all these films together. Once the lights went out, you don't feel the presence of so few people, but I was on the back row and I could see all the heads. And I got to tell you, it was possibly the most heartbreaking moment. And I know I should just be grateful. I know gratitude, gratitude make your life go around. I should just be grateful that, hey, like, at least 7, 8 people saw my film, and I met some great people there. But I thought to myself, what a disheartening feeling that you put, how many hours I put into that film. Like, I put hundreds of hours into that film, from writing it to casting it and everything, to know that that's how much it meant to these people. That's how much it meant to the festival. And and I started to notice that this was a common trend. You talk to filmmakers who made these great features, and they're like, yeah, my film just screened in front of 22 people. So our goal with Penance was, we give filmmakers the most full audience. I don't care how we have to do it. If we have to knock on doors, if we have to fucking give free tickets, if we have to give sponsors free tickets, we'll do everything in our power to make sure that when a filmmaker comes here from LA or comes here from Italy or Austria, they're getting the best possible screening with a passionate audience that gives a shit about their work. And it's the best gift that we gave. There's this brilliant filmmaker, Giuseppe Garau, who's a fantastic Italian filmmaker. Really check his work out. He made his film called The Accident, which screened at some really big film festivals. And then he came to Toronto, and we were really struggling to sell those tickets, man. We had 7 tickets sold, 8 tickets sold, and it was Saturday, and his film screening Sunday. So we started pushing anyone who would listen. This is an amazing film. You got to check out this film. Dude, on Sunday night, we packed every seat in that theater. He sat in the back. He was nearly in tears. He said, this is my biggest screening ever. This is the most full I've ever had. He was so grateful. So that, to me, is like the ethos. Once you've gone through it, you never want to push anybody else through that again. So that's, if y'all hear me and I get a little bit annoying about Penance, please understand, this ain't about money. Me giving you a ticket code for, free tickets is not about money. This festival has cost us a tremendous amount of money. It is important, though. It is important because if we don't do this, there isn't another festival in the city that I trust to do this like we do this. So it's an important place for filmmakers. And hey, bonus, you're gonna find some great people, great photo opportunities, and a lot of socials this year, man. A lot of socials. So, like, to anyone who just ever wanted to grab a beer with me, you have 3 opportunities to do that. And if you ever want to, come out to the Penance game night, If you want to play Super Mario with me, yo, show up 11 o'clock at the Free Play Arcade. I'll be there. I'll be there at 11:30 and happy to meet some people. So by any means necessary, really. I've focused so much of my energy into Pensare Basketball that now when I start to reach out to people from my filmmaking life, they're just like, I haven't heard from you in a year because I haven't made a film in a year. So now I just got to like somehow balance the two extremes of my life right now. Yeah.
You want to hear something hilarious?
What's hilarious?
The Mavs and the Lakers are playing on TNT, and I have it on another screen. They just put the highest scoring father-son duos up. Do you know who the highest scoring father-son duo is?
LeBron and Bronny. No shit.
Yes. They are number one. You know number two?
Steph and Dell.
No, Joe and Kobe.
Oh shit! Really? I'm so stupid. How did I forget that? Yeah, Steph missed a lot of time early on.
They beat Dell and Steph by about 1,500.
Okay.
And then number 4 is Michael and Klay Thompson at 29,000. But it's hilarious.
See, that's a very balanced relationship. Now, I'm curious where Jimmy Walker and Jalen Rose would have landed if Jimmy Walker had played a little bit more.
It's just it's just diabolical that they threw Bronny James in there.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's amazing. And I mean, they will be etched in the history books forever as the highest scoring father-son duo, unless Luka Doncic plays let's say 15 more years at this level. Like I was looking at a graphic the other day that said the quickest to, I think it was 5,000 points or 8,000 points or something. And Luka had actually done it in fewer games than LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like the trajectory that this guy was on. I don't even think it's capped to say like he was on top. He was on the path. Like, I don't think it's absurd to say Luka was on the path to becoming a top 10 player of all time. I really don't think so. And did you see the ad? Please tell me you saw the ad. Did you see the Luka Jordan ad?
No, I didn't.
Oh, bro. All my exes live in Texas, as he fucking like changes the driver's plate from Dallas to LA. Yo, that shit is savage. It's savage. And yeah, I'm rooting for Luka hard, man. I've never been a Laker fan because all my favorite teams played against the Lakers and got crushed by the Lakers, be it San Antonio, be it Sacramento, be it whatever.
You watched that game? You watched that game on Saturday?
Crushing Denver?
Yeah. You know what's funny about that game?
Oh, God.
I just stuck my head in the PC just to hear Swiper, because Swiper was talking with so much chest and so much bass in his voice.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knew, Denver's is going to do this and then this. Bro, let me tell you something about these new Lakers that the old Lakers never had. First of all, Denver as a collective, the state of Colorado wept when the Lakers traded D'Lo. They cried.
The state of Colorado?
D'Lo handedly works for the Denver Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody, I'm not hearing no other way. And Rui half the time was working for the Denver Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, am I lying? Am I lying?
Yes, you're not lying. Okay. I want to play this very briefly. It's hilarious. Everybody who knows the song,
okay.
Gear it up on your own end, because I ain't playing this and losing money for this. Okay, so that's the song. All my exes live in Texas. If you don't want to play it for yourself, I'm not playing it here. Sing it out loud. Bro, this is insane. I mean, without the music, it just feels like we're staring at Luka's ass, but there you go. This is fucking hilarious. You know what's funny? I'm almost 95% sure they used a body double on that one, but
because
yeah,
there weren't love handles.
Yeah, they're full tank, no mercy. This should be the Raptors slogan for the rest of the year. Full tank, no mercy. Okay. Amazing.
What was I saying? Yeah. I swear the Lakers lost what was it, a ridiculous like 10 games in a row, including playoffs to Denver. And when they finally won, it was that 4-1 gentleman's sweep. And I always thought the gap between the Lakers and Denver was the last 2 minutes of the game. That's all it was. Every game came down to the last 2 minutes.
Mhm.
Do you know who's good in the last 2 minutes?
Luka?
Yep.
Yeah.
That
Man,
was the gap.
I
It was those last 2 minutes. It's not like they were getting blown out. I don't think they got blown out once.
can
I don't know why
feel-
Swipe is that confident. I really don't.
Do-
It's astonishing to
Dude,
me.
there was an 800 plus people Lakers, let's say Twitter space, literally saying come out Swiper. That was hilarious. And yeah, Swiper was
He
not
was talking with so much chest.
Swiper always talks with chest. I appreciate that
I'm
about
like,
him.
bro, this ain't D'Lo ain't on the court no more to save you guys. And
So
here's what I love
you
about
saying
Luka.
D'Lo was playing for the other
Oh
team.
my god,
Okay.
he was playing for the other team. That guy had like 2 good quarters an entire series.
Was D'Lo low key like Jonte Portering it?
Bro, this is how I know D'Lo's garbage. He went to Brooklyn, right? And he finally said, now I can play free. Now I can play free with absolutely no pressure and no responsibility. He's like, thank God I'm on a tanking team. I can be myself now. What a loser, bro.
Okay. Actually, a big shout out to one of our community members, Christian Burton, who sent me, what am I saying? Christian Limbetto. I apologize for calling you Christian Burton. Limbetto, who sent this reel, and it's DeMarcus Cousins talking. I'm curious for your thoughts on this.
Okay.
6 teams trying to win, and you start learning, like, for the most part, it's only 6 teams trying to win, and you start learning, like, most teams just trying to tank, they're trying to gather draft capital, whatever the case may be. You're just a part of the bullshit. But at the same time, they want you to walk around with this mindset of being, always ready. I'm ready to play whenever. It's just like, y'all ain't ready. Like what am I preparing for? To lose? I don't even know how to do that. Like, I prepare every day. I train every day to be a winner. But you're telling me to be a winner, but also prepare to lose on it. So I don't know how to do this, brother. Like, you got to kind of be on both sides of it to understand, like, you really aren't in control of your legacy. They say all you got to do is work hard, work on basketball every day. You can go be the greatest. It's up to you. Like, nah, motherfucker, it ain't. Once you get to this side, now your legacy is in that organization's hands. Yep. And if you around and go to the wrong organization, legacy what?
Curious thoughts.
So, I guess the question that first comes to mind is, does Jordan win 6 rings if he's drafted by the Kings and stays there his whole career?
Some would argue that Jordan was not too happy with the job that the Bulls did surrounding him with talent, but I think he was just being a little ungrateful. I think Jared Krause was a fantastic scout.
I agree.
So, it's fair to say, some people take it too far. They say, if Jordan, was on this other team, he would have been Mitch Richmond or Clyde Drexler. And it's just like, bro, nah, bro. He's not that. But yeah, sure. I mean, certainly 6 rings doesn't happen without Scottie Pippen. It certainly ain't happening without Dennis Rodman and, all the players that they put on that team that were super underrated, like Charles Oakley and, that kind of came up with him, the coaching. If they don't want to invest in Phil Jackson once he wants a contract extension, if they don't find Tony Kukoc for that second title run, if they don't find Ron Harper from Cleveland, I think there's a lot of things that went right for the Bulls. You need so many things to win a championship, but organizational stability and competent management is definitely one of them.
Even
Philly.
luck. Like, there's this big argument: could they have beaten the Rockets? It doesn't matter because that was their toughest matchup, and they never got to see him. Sometimes it's luck. We'll never know.
I mean, Kenny the Jet Smith consistently says they couldn't do anything with the big African. They couldn't do anything with the big African. I would be like, so who's stopping Jordan on your team? Like, quit the cap. Like,
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, it's also matchups, and we'll never know. But sometimes you avoid it. Like, the Lakers got swept last year in the first round. If you're in a different bracket, who knows what happens and how far you can go.
I think the Raptors, think about it this way. The year the Raptors won the championship, there were legitimately, per the numbers that matter, 4 title contenders that year. Do you know them?
2019, it would have been us.
Mm-hmm.
in terms of talent and record, it would be 3 in the East and the Warriors in the West. Philly and then Milwaukee, I'm assuming.
Yep. These are the teams. So we had to go through all 3 other contenders to win a championship. And that's why I think that title run is so miraculous. The fact that people only remember it as, oh, well, y'all wouldn't have won if KD had gotten injured. And it's just like, bro, we might not have won past Philly if Kawhi doesn't hit the craziest shot of all time. So what I'm saying is, yeah, it absolutely matters, the bracket that you're in, the health, all that stuff. And Kawhi wasn't healthy after Milwaukee. He wasn't. But I am positive that the Raptors, fully healthy, not Kawhi limping around on one leg, but fully healthy, could push the Golden State Warriors at full strength to about 6 games. Now, what happens after game 6? I don't know. I don't even know if they win game 6. But I don't think it's like they're not getting smoked. They're not getting smoked. That team was very good, very connected. I understand KD is a fucking cheat code, but there's only one basketball. Okay, so
those were some scary 9 minutes, though, Rob. Those were some scary 9 minutes.
Okay, here's a question for you. Would the Raptors still have had the best player in the series? With the way Kawhi was playing, it is hard for me to imagine that any player on the planet.
He was limping around.
Okay, that's why I said full strength, full strength. If people want to say, hey, KD missed the games, well, I'm gonna say that Kawhi was fucking limping and he was barely the Raptors' best player. Like, here's the thing: round 1, 2, and 3, I would say the gap between Kawhi Leonard and his next best teammate was like the gap between, I don't know, like.
I know what you're saying.
I was going to say something insulting to somebody out there, but like, let me, like the gap between from here to the moon. Okay. Like there was no question at all who the Raptors' best player was on any game, any moment, any possession. He was clearly the best. There were quarters where somebody else got off or whatever, but Kawhi was carrying. It was like a massive carry job. Not defensively, but like offensively, overall impact. He was definitively their best player. Like by at least he was 2 times better than his second best teammate.
Yeah.
But in the finals, he was like 5% better than his 10%, 15% better than his next best teammate. Yeah. And I feel like that gap is the gap of Klay Thompson. Like, you know what I mean? So like people want to talk about, oh, Klay missed so much time. How much time did Klay miss? Klay played a lot of those games. Okay. And the Durant stuff, it's like, miss me with that. Okay. Because y'all stacked the deck. Kevin Durant joined a 73-win team. So we pretty much just played the remnants of a 73-win team without the player that they basically brought on as a cheat code, and we beat that team. It's just like people use any opportunity to hate on the Raptors, in my opinion, just kind of being on that American platform, PC now. It's just like people which are like, y'all wouldn't have had a championship.
We're the only team to beat that iteration. We can hold that in our chest.
That is true.
Technically, that is true. They disbanded before anybody else can beat them.
Totally. Agreed. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yep. And then I'm going to get to some super chats here because I don't want to be an L host like Ron.
Should Grady play in the summer league?
He won't.
Why
it doesn't
not?
matter if he should or shouldn't. He won't.
Why won't he? What do you think?
Well, I think you want players to be confident, right? And you also want players to get like. I can tell you right now, his trainer probably does not want him playing in the summer league. His agent probably does not want him playing in the summer league. He himself probably does not want to play in the summer league. I'm guessing. I don't know his agent and I don't know his trainer. But I can tell you from talking to a lot of agents and trainers over the years, once a player hits year 2, they do not want summer league because every player has an off-season program and summer league just kind of fucks that up. Now they have to travel. They're playing somewhat meaningless games in somewhat disorganized fashion. Most of these players, if there's nothing to gain at all for Grady. If he goes out and cooks, you say, well, he's a 3rd-year player. He's an ex-lottery pick. He's supposed to cook. If he struggles, like, he's a bust. And he's the worst player since sliced bread. And we should have picked Keontae George because Keontae George just had 30 points, the 2 games ago or a game ago. So my point is, like, there's really not a lot to gain from him there. He's not going to be playing with a lot of those guys. If primacy is the goal, my question then becomes, why is primacy even a goal for Grady when he's going to be playing off of Scottie, off of RJ, off of BI? I think I just need Grady to become a better shooter, and that's not going to happen in summer league. I think that's going to happen in the weight room. That's going to happen in training. That's going to happen with his trainer, and that's just going to happen through confidence. I mean, shooters, confidence go hand in hand. He needs to be confident 100% in himself, and putting him out for the third year after what he's done this year. I mean, granted, not great season so far for Grady,
Yeah.
but he is second in scoring in his draft class at 20. Like, people really do like live by the moment and die by the moment. He's a pretty damn good player. He has a lot of holes.
You still as high on him as last year? I thought he'd be better. I'm not gonna lie. On a more consistent basis.
Here's the thing, like,
There was that week and a half early on. Remember that game in Denver? We were like, oh my God.
I think the previous caller, you know, we talked about like, what would you do if you found out your company was going under in 2 weeks, right?
Okay.
And so I think when the Raptors start the season out with this, we're going to be developing. We're going to be doing this VR mission shit, you know, we're going to be putting out these funky lineups. You're really taking like that competitive juice out of the players and you're making it all about the process, which is how you're losing these games to begin with. You look up and down this roster, forget the BI element of this, right? He hasn't played a single game for us. You look up and down this roster and there's really like one thing that happens in your brain. The first thing is, I feel like this team should have a lot more than 18 wins right now, right? You look at this roster, I think most of us expected them to be about 27 to 30 wins right now. The fact that they have 18 means that something really stupid has happened here. The second thing you think is, well, if that was wrong, then the other thing must be right, which is to say, well, if this team is supposed to be a 30-win team or a 28-win team right now, and they're an 18-win team, then these players must be 33 to 40% worse than I actually thought they were, which I don't actually think is true at all. It's the context that's worse.
No, Rob, hold on.
Mhm.
The 30 or 40% worse. Can we agree we thought Scottie would be better this year, IQ would be better this year, and Grady would be better this year on a more consistent basis, regardless of how much better you thought they'd be? I thought those three would be better and working better together.
Do you mind me asking, like, what did you study in school?
Not
to put you on the spot.
I studied some HR and then engineering.
Perfect. Okay, so you studied HR and engineering. Unique. Okay, so let's just say I want to hire you, and you're like, great, somebody wants to hire me, and so I hire you, and I don't give you too much information about the job, and now you show up to the first day, and I'm like, okay, now I need you to do graphic design. You're gonna be like, that's not what I fucking studied. Okay.
Yeah.
Scottie didn't study for this. Okay. I got, you know, when you see Scottie in context, like doing what he's technically studied to do, like he's pretty good. Like last year coming into the season, what was his, you know, I can tell you, we talked with Brian about it on air, so I don't have to talk about anything we've talked about off air, but they told him catch and shoot threes. That's what you're working on. And they worked on it every day. Catch and shoot threes. And he came out guns blazing and we couldn't believe it. We're like, oh my God, the arrival's here. Trade everyone away. Build around Scottie. That's what he worked on all off season though. One dribble, catch, shoot. One dribble, catch, shoot.
He can't do that now.
He's not doing that, period, because he's not.
No, but Rob, let's be real. A lot of the off the dribble pull up threes came early. He's kind of toned those down a bit.
Okay. But that's not what he's been working on lately. That's not what he's working on right now.
Still in the gutter.
Okay, but he's not working on catch and shoot shit right now. He's working on mid post package. He's working on all that shit. So my question to you is, he trained all off season 2 years ago to come into the season and work off of Pascal as a catch and shoot knockdown shooter. Okay, Fred was gone. The team needed some scoring, some spacing, and he was going to provide it. And it worked. For 3 months, it worked last year, okay? So the training translated to the job that he actually had. Okay, so what was the training this offseason? The training was ball handling, counters, mid-post, more, bag work. That's a lot harder, in my opinion, for a player, to do. Now, we've seen successful moments of it. Let's not lie. And let's say we haven't seen successful moments. We've totally seen successful moments. We've seen moments where I honestly am shocked when he misses in the mid-range on that turnaround shot. That was just developing last year. It was just barely developing. We'd see glimpses of it. Now we've seen full games of that where he can just go to that over and over. Now teams are sending doubles. Now it's like, oh shit, he's been figured out. Scottie has been figured out. Grady has been figured out. These two players had moments earlier this season where they started to spam their 1 or 2 tricks. Once people figured out what those 1 or 2 tricks were, lights out. It's over. Every scouting report has figured you out. Now it is time for you to go into the lab, figure out what they figured out, and take it 3 steps further. Right?
Now talk to me about IQ.
IQ has been disappointing for sure, but he's also someone who is progressing into a lead guard. Now, I don't necessarily see him as, a de facto point guard. He says he's a point guard. He's played point guard most of his life, etc.
He ain't.
He doesn't see the game like a point guard. He doesn't read the game like a point guard. He doesn't create advantages like a point guard. And frankly, he doesn't defend the way I need my point guard to defend, especially because we've been spoiled a little bit with Jamal Shed and Davion Mitchell for the most part this year. So what I'll say about IQ is, again, what is he naturally good at versus what is he doing? He is running like so many possessions where he is the lead initiator or decision maker for this offense. I don't care how much you're paying him. That's not his strength. Playing off of Scottie and BI will be his strength. And I'll tell you right now, if he plays Peyton Pritchard's role, relatively, the catch and shoot corner threes, where, you're going through Jaylen Brown, you're going through Jason Tatum, maybe that's the vision. Maybe Emmanuel Quickley is supposed to be.
Peyton Pritchard, 32 million, 32 and a half. Can we, are you going to die on the hill that it's a fair deal? Because it ain't.
I'm not gonna die on the hill. I said it when it happened. It's rich. Like
I don't think you get off that pretty easily. I don't think you get that off pretty easily. I think you can get off RJ's contract pretty easily. I don't think you're getting off. See, my issue with this front office is it's a compounding of bad decisions. They start to pile up, and it then becomes an avalanche. And those decisions are losing Fred for free. The IQ trade, right? We love Grady, but we could have had one of the Thompson brothers. We could have had Brandon Miller. We could have had Bilal Coulibaly, Cason Wallace, Lively. Okay,
how much does Brandon Miller
we gave up this year's lottery pick. We gave up this year's lottery pick. That's that trade. Okay, giving IQ more than you're telling me you couldn't have got him for 28. It's just compounding.
Honestly, man, like when you look at what the Knicks wanted to pay him, they wanted to pay him 15 to 18, okay, which is probably more in line with fair value. The Raptors decided we're going to pay you what we think you're going to be worth, so that this deal is fair for everybody because we don't want you to exceed this. And honestly, I probably, if I was the Raptors, and I'm not, I would have looked at Emmanuel Quickley and said, look, based on how you've played throughout your career, based on the numerous questions we have about winning with you and, all that stuff. I mean, maybe it's not very nice to say this stuff. We would like to have you for 4 years, but it's going to have to be at like 100 million. So 25 per year. That's as far as we're going to go. That's the contract we had, offered for Fred, and he was an all-star. You're not an all-star. That's what we'd like to offer you. If you don't want to go for that, what we can do is 3 years, 80, or 3 years, 85. At which point, like, you're kind of allowing him to bet on himself a little bit. That's probably where I would have gone. But the 5-year, 160 plus, that screams to me like you really, really
at gunpoint. You were at gunpoint.
Yeah, it feels like a franchise altering type of decision. But I do want to say that the contract gets better as it ages, which is great because you're hoping that he also gets better as he ages. Now, if he gets worse as he ages, the contract remains pretty bad, but it never turns into a complete albatross. It's not an albatross deal. It's never going to be an albatross deal. The worst it looks is right now.
I mean, maybe it could look worse if he continues to stagnate, because then the bigger contracts start to pile up. Right now, Scottie's only 10, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could look worse in 2 years if he doesn't really develop. So if you're telling me he's just a juiced up Peyton Pritchard.
He's not juiced up Peyton Pritchard right now. Peyton Pritchard has thoroughly outplayed him this year.
Oh, okay. Don't tell us that, Rob.
It's 100% true. Peyton Pritchard's been awesome. He's probably going to win 6th man of the year. Okay, let me get some super chats here. Recruiter dude, Boston hedged on quick on screens to keep him from going off, which was smart. I agree, but honestly, I just think Emmanuel Quickley made a lot of terrible decisions tonight, and frankly, this is not an isolated incident. He's been making a lot of terrible decisions this year, but hopefully these are decisions he can grow from. And I think they discussed briefly Chop Wood, Carry Water on air. That's a great book. Emmanuel quickly swears by it. I trust him to get better. He's also a winner. He's, I know that's a bit of a platitude and people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear like, oh, you're 18-40, but you got all these winners. But, it's hard to remove the winning by putting a losing context around certain teams. And I think the Raptors are approaching that like very, very delicate balance where I think most people are like ready for the season to be over. I think most people on this team, and I know that sounds stupid and the players will never come out and say that. I think they're all just like itching to start next season with Brandon Ingram, with Jakob Poeltl, with possibly, a draft pick coming in. I think there's a lot of excitement around this team, but I also feel like there's a lot of frustration that this season didn't go better, that there's been so many injuries, that they're starting a 6'6" second rounder as their starting center multiple times now. I mean, you just got to look at the other pieces, man. So anyways, the Power saying BI averages 28.9 points against Boston. If he was in the game, Raptors would have smoked these guys. Boston historically has had a difficult time guarding BI. Well, my question then is BI taking shots from Scottie? Is he taking shots from RJ? Is he taking shots from Emmanuel quickly? And if you continue to shoot 15% from three, how does BI change anything? I mean, granted, against a healthy Celtics team, I don't think he tilts the balance. But against this version of the Celtics, yes, Brandon Ingram would have been an overwhelming. He would have been overwhelming for the Celtics, and I think that the Raptors probably beat the Celtics. Noble Venom saying, I agree with Coach Mo here. Every year of Scottie's career, it's ankle issues and he loses his burst. Everyone gets banged up throughout the season, but Scottie's injuries affect his level of play too much. He doesn't have a lot of burst to begin with, right? He's not
he doesn't have much to lose, so it affects him more, I think.
Exactly. And also he's not the only player. I often look at, ankle and lower body injuries as a nice little preview into what you're going to look like when you're older. When we saw Pascal Siakam, if you remember the groin injury, he was washed. Like I watched this guy, couldn't shoot, couldn't move, couldn't defend, couldn't board. Like complete garbage. Okay? We watched it. We all watched it. We watched him get locked down by players who were 6'4", and we're like, what the fuck? He was not right. Now we see him, he's perfectly fine. We've also watched Pascal Siakam shoot 16-17% from three for an extended period of time, and we all know he's a hell of a worker. And we've also seen him shoot nearly 40%, 36 to 40% for long stretches too. I don't think Scottie is anyone's definition of like a great shooter, but I also don't think he's as bad as he looks. Most players who shoot 26% just don't shoot this much. So the fact that he's shooting this much, I feel like it's going to be fine. And honestly, the ankle issues, look, I think this is my free advice, to anybody, who's facing ankle issues and stuff. It's probably not really your ankles. It's probably something else. I've talked to a lot of trainers about this, not just, Scottie's trainer, but other trainers who train NBA players. And I'm just like, give me your feedback on this injury. Like, give me your feedback on this player, this injury, whatever. And the thing that I keep hearing with Scottie is consistent, is that there is a fundamental issue with how he moves that is creating ankle injuries. And so in order to do that, like he has pretty small hips. I don't know if y'all noticed that. It's pretty tight hipped, right? That sometimes can make you a little bit rigid and robotic. Players on the basketball court who tend to be injury-free tend to be pretty flexible. That's why Wemby is all about flexibility. And, unfortunately now he has blood clots, but he has been relatively injury-free for a player of his size, right? The whole point about movement and, is you want to be hitchless. Everything should be hitchless. And it's really difficult when you have a player of Scottie's dimensions, who's basically like a bigger version of Ben Wallace dimensionally. He's bigger than Ben Wallace. Like that's the craziest thing. You know what I mean? One of the greatest centers of all time. He's bigger than Bill Russell. I mean, he's like legit. Like we are talking about a guy who is being asked to play point guard and small forward, partially because that's his skill set, who moves like a center at times, right? And so it is a difficult thing with him, but the payoff is incredible. Like if you can get this to work, if you can get his lower body a little bit more flexible, I think he'd be great.
Do you remember when they were teaching Jonas how to run? You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Because Jonas looked like he was fighting himself to get up and down the court when he gained weight. Do you remember that?
Dude,
It was ugly to watch
the
him
most
run.
messed up thing about Jonas Valanciunas and Andrea Bargnani is when you watch those guys in Europe, they were very fluid.
Yeah, and
Jonas
thin.
was bursty.
Yeah, he was.
And the crazy thing about Scottie is Scottie in high school was bursty. Like, not like he's still a little bit flat-footed, maybe not like Anthony Edwards bursty, but he was a considerably better athlete than guys like Cade Cunningham. He wasn't Jalen Green quick, but he was like, there was no issues about Scottie Barnes' athleticism. Like, he tested off the charts in terms of athleticism ahead of the draft. Right now, he feels a little heavy. He feels a little too heavy to me. Like, he looks like power forward out there, you know? And I don't think that's ideal for him, because I think that's just kind of like, it's just physics. The physics of movement is the bigger you are, the slower you move, right? Like, you have to carry more weight forward. Like, unless you're a physical freak of nature like Zion Williamson, most people struggle to move well when they're heavier. So Scottie has to dial. I think I'm not a trainer. I'm not, necessarily being qualified to say this, but I think he needs to figure out like an ideal playing weight for him. And I think it's somewhere between where he is and where he was in high school. And it's probably closer to like 230 as opposed to like where he is right now, which is probably closer to like 250. It's just hard to move when you're that big, man. 250 with long arms, long legs, and ankle issues. Shit. But the ankle braces are going to help. Taping up your ankles. Like, I'm always shocked when I see Scottie's shoes sometimes. I'm just like, bro, like, I wouldn't hoop in those shoes. There's some players that just don't take their ankles too seriously. Thankfully, Vince had a nice chat with Scottie. I'm actually pretty pissed that nobody talked to him before Vince, though. Like, why did it take Vince Carter coming in to tell you, dude who rolls his ankle every 4 games, to fucking tape your ankles and to wear ankle braces? Like, this is common. Like, Vince used to do it every game. It's nuts. Anyways, James Barron with the $50 super chat. I appreciate you. Does Drake write his own lyrics? LOL. Scottie's ankle struggles right now are him playing through injuries, not a habitual issues. Praise the players that play. I agree with you. Praise the player that plays. I agree with you. You know, like, it's commendable that a player, we got a lot of players in this league that sit out if they have, a sore pinky. And Scottie plays through pain. It's a gift. Certain people have a very, very high threshold for pain. I think he, at times, and again, this is just me reading it, feels a little uncomfortable with getting injured. It almost feels like he's a little scared to get injured. So sometimes he'll drive and he's like very guarded and cautious because, I mean, let's be honest, he's had his orbital fracture. He's had so many injuries. He's had people stomp his feet. Like, he's had a lot of injuries in the NBA that are freak nature injuries. People want to call him injury prone. Y'all, like, I hope one of you people who call him injury prone gets punched in the face by Nikola Jokic that badly, and you tell me if you're injury prone now. These are freak accidents. That could have happened to anybody. It happened to Scottie because he's also one of the most active players on the team, and he's always in people's faces, and he guards, and he actually plays defense, and he's getting into people's faces. Yeah, someone might catch you with an elbow. And you drive so much, unless you're really, really, really good about your landings, and again, the big feet, right? The big feet are definitely going to make you much more prone to coming down on other people's feet, So it's a complicated number of things with Scottie, but I don't know. Overall, like, I agree. I'm very happy that he's the type of person that plays. And if you ever want to just, remind yourself of who Scottie Barnes is, this is a dude who was in crutches game 2 of the playoffs and came back by game 4 and brought this team back through hustle and hard work, even though he couldn't shoot. And do you remember that final game 6 where they just left him open to shoot and he just missed everything?
Yeah, he kept launching them.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, Scottie's shooting is 100% linked to his health. If he's healthy, he's like 35%, 36% consistently. If he's not healthy, he's like 18 to 22%. Every year, I can go back and find you the trends. When he feels good and he's healthy, it's fine. When he doesn't feel good, and it's usually an ankle thing with like year 2, that was tough, man. Year 2, we saw plenty of like brick, unwilling to shoot. So I think Scottie's going to be fine. I think a lot of people, maybe selling their Scottie stock right now. Sell it to me. I'll buy it happily buy it. Yes. Anyways, man, Coach Mo, I got to get back to the Penance planning. You got any final thoughts?
Yeah, we need the asset. I'm on Team Tank. We need the asset. Maybe the player, maybe the asset, but we need more on this team because I'm all aboard for let's go all in and be competitive because this losing shit is depressing. I don't know how people watch this shit.
You know, the last 3 games, I've had to fight at points just to not fall asleep. Now, part of it is because I'm so exhausted. I have been working, I want to say 17 hours a day. And even though I thought I was going to be like prepared well in advance of Pendance and I was going to have time to sleep, I haven't slept more than 3 hours in close to 5 days now. So much work to do, so much outreach to do, but I don't want to leave anything on the table. But yeah, like I agree with you. This, like, I can't wait for the draft pick because I think it's going to be a good one. Like I fingers crossed, man, fingers crossed, right? I hope it's a good one. I hope we get to watch that player in summer league. It's going to be big, but that player is coming into a winning culture. Like they're not coming into Nick Nurse. They're not coming into, good luck with these guys, Nick Nursery. He's not coming into that. They're coming into a, selfless team with established pecking order. And that player is going to have to earn their minutes. And it's going to be great to see, And it's, that youngster, if it's a VJ Edgecombe or someone like that, that's going to push a lot of guys, Oh, damn. They just drafted a fucking, wing at number 4. I'm seeing Jacoby and I'm like, okay, 2 hours a day? Fuck that. 6 hours a day. I'm seeing Grady like, oh shit, It's like you want to have a place where people want to stay because they work really hard to keep their position and not in that organization. So, I'm curious what this team will look like next year. I'm curious if RJ and IQ will be on this team next year, but I am positive that next year will be a much better result, and it will be a better result because of what the Raptors did this year.
I agree.
Yeah. JD saying, Rob, what about the Raptors being favorites to land Embiid? Bro, I will quit. I will quit podcasting. I will quit.
What if you
Canada.
get them for dirt cheap?
Okay, give me the pitch. What's the trade?
All you have to give up is your 2025 first round pick.
You want me giving up picks for Joel Embiid?
Just
what about the
one
contracts?
Pick.
He makes $55 million.
Just one pick.
Well,
one pick,
that doesn't work.
RJ, one pick, and then you're gonna have to match salary. So it's gonna be like RJ and IQ.
RJ, IQ, and one pick.
Yeah. Would you do it?
Nope. That might be the stupidest thing I've ever said. But let me be clear about something. I cannot stand Joel Embiid. I cannot stand Joel Embiid, bro. Now, I understand the appeal of, Joel plus BI plus Scottie. Like, wow, like, look at the firepower. We're contenders. But this feels more like, Derrick Rose looking into a camera and saying, like, we're the super team now when he joined the Knicks. Like, dude, this guy is probably going to be out for the next 2 years. Like a year and a half to 2 years. I'll guarantee you, like, he misses 85 to 100% of the next 2 years, rehabbing from injuries. And even when he's healthy, this is so unlike the Kawhi thing. I can't stand him when he's healthy either. He is the definition of a front runner. If he did that fucking like airplane shit to another fan base if he's punching players in the face, if he's coming down on people's ankles, dude, this is karma. What he's going through right now is karma. I hate to be so crass, but this shit is karma.
Rob, have you checked out the Sixers payroll? It's scary what they're going to be paying Paul George and Joel Embiid. Paul George has a player option for 27-28 for $56.5 million. He's washed.
Oh yeah, and I thought he was going to be good this year. I was like, oh my god, he's settling into a third role. This will extend his career. I'm so happy. This is going to be great. And it's like, fuck, I feel so stupid. I was like, sometimes when people get slandered, I feel a need to defend them. And PG gets slandered a lot, but this year I've realized, he deserves it. Joel Embiid and Paul George can have each other, bro. Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Nick Nurse ending up on the same fucking team with their personalities. The only person who loses in this situation is Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain. Those are the only two guys I feel bad for. And whoever the hell gets drafted to that team, if they keep their pick, If they get Cooper Flag, so help me God.
Bro,
I do want to say the Raptors have the Sixers on their hip right now, right? They're like Luca, they're trying to like, they got him on the hip. The Sixers are going full tank mode. Like they are no hold barred. Okay. I think you sent me you sent me the screenshot yesterday or something, or you sent it to me or Vince sent it to me. I can't remember, but I think it was Vince. And he's just like, this is crazy. Like it was 63-93 or some shit like that against the Bulls, and the Bulls weren't even playing their best players. Lonzo barely played. Vooch didn't play, and it's just like, oh my God. And they had Paul George and Tyrese Maxey playing, and they're getting smoked by 30. So it's like, yo, like, I wonder if people like, and again,
they lost by 30.
Maxey's not a bad player. Maxey's not lazy. Maxey didn't forget how to play. Maxey's a damn good player. Okay, Paul George is still a serviceable player. I won't say he's good, but he's serviceable. There's something really rotten in that locker room, and it's like, yo, 2 years ago we were having the same conversations the Philly fan base are having right now of like, why is the vibe so fucked around this team? Same conversations about Nick Nurse. So, I said it when the Sixers hired Nick Nurse. Welcome to the fucking Nick Nurse experience, bro. He's gonna come on, he's gonna play real nice with the media, and then as the season goes on, and I didn't think he was gonna have a long shelf life in Philly, but I'd be lying if I said I saw it coming apart this quickly. No, I thought it was gonna come apart in maybe 3 to 4 years as they bounced out of the playoffs, like after deep runs. And no,
people said Brett Brown was not supposed to be there after they got good, so they canned him. Doc Rivers, the joke on Doc Rivers.
You think Coach Bud is a coach?
Those two guys are doing better than Nick.
Sure. Do you think Coach Bud is a good coach?
I do.
Okay. What's he doing in Phoenix? They're
not going for Cooper Flag.
They don't have their pick. They can't go for Cooper Flag.
I'm saying they're not statistically in the running. Okay, Nick is doing worse. Now, again, the front offices have destroyed those two teams, but I think Phoenix is the greatest example of new owner syndrome on steroids. Like,
I mean, there's been plenty. The Nets have experienced 2 of it, but yeah. I mean, yes, I feel like every billionaire owner who buys their club, whether that be Steve Ballmer trading away, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, or whether that be, whatever the hell, the Mikhail Prokhorov and guys like that did, Joe Tsai, like I just named 2 Brooklyn owners. And now look at the fucking Dallas, the Adelstons. Why do I know all these fucking stupid ass idiot names? These billionaires who,
by the way, speaking of owners, I never want to interfere because I hired somebody to do their job. I swear to God, Rob, if I was the owner of the Raptors, I would have fucking vetoed that Yak trade so hard, bro. I would have put my foot down so hard. I would have said, hell no.
Yeah, but sometimes being an owner means...
Oh, no. I hear you. But that one, I would have said, nope, not on my watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, walk me through the point of this. And tell me the end goal.
I cannot, with Penance on the line, I cannot sit here and relitigate the Jakob Poeltl trade.
Could they have satisfied you with any answer in any realm of possibility?
If I was the owner?
If you were the owner and you said, okay, I'll hear you out, justify it to me.
Yeah, they would have said that we think Scottie will be better if he doesn't have to play center. And we think that this team is 1 center away from unlocking unbelievable levels of play. And we think that we owe it to this team to try. And, to which I would say, I'll meet you in the middle. You can trade for you can sign a EuroLeague center for, a little bit of extra money, or you can trade a 2nd round pick to get a slight defensive upgrade like Mason Plumlee. And we can see if that works. And hey, by the way, if you turn into a great team with Mason Plumlee, now we can talk about Jakob Poeltl next offseason. Okay? Because he's a fucking free agent. That's the thing that people never bring up. The Raptors overpaid for a guy who was literally hitting free agency, which means he was either, it's just like, you didn't just pay. Like, I think people just don't understand that. And that's what makes me mad. You didn't just pay for Jakob Poeltl. You paid for 35 games of Jakob Poeltl. That's what the price was, because he was a free agent and he was an unrestricted free agent. You could have signed him for, if you wanted to, think of it this way. What would you rather do? Pay Jakob Poeltl, give up a 1st round pick, plus 2 seconds,
You would have
plus
gone.
Thaddeus Young. Would you rather do that, or would you rather overpay Jakob Poeltl in the offseason $22 million to come back home?
I would have paid him for $22 million.
Bingo. So, clear
You know,
your
the funny
books.
thing is,
I
too,
think they would have probably looked at it as we wouldn't have had his bird rights. We wouldn't have been able to go over the cap, blah, 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 blah. But it's just
you
like,
wouldn't even
okay,
have to overpay him. I honestly think there's a world where they even get him for cheaper because they don't have the pressure of losing him.
that's true. There aren't a lot of, I think the Raptors drastically overestimate the market for the players that they like. Like they probably massively overestimated the market for Emmanuel quickly. Like I really don't think there was a competing offer anywhere close to 32.5. I was assuming that there was a competing offer from the Magic and the Spurs for around 26, 25. Like I would have thought that would be the competing offer, and they just probably paid a little bit more because the Spurs and the Magic happen to be the two of the 5 teams in states without state income tax. So that's the cost of doing business, unfortunately, when you're the Toronto Raptors and Uncle Sam. I don't know what is the Canadian equivalent of Uncle Sam? Is it Uncle Canuck? I don't know what it is, but nevertheless, it is what it is. Anyways, man, any final thoughts? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'll see
All
you
right.
Sunday.
Have a good one, man. See you. Peace. All right. Okay. I hope I've been a little bit more entertaining today. I got to tell you, I had every inclination when this game ended to put up a little notice and say, guys, no post game today. I will do the post game for today and tomorrow. Together tomorrow, because I was on the panel today. I don't know. Sometimes I over leverage myself. I take on too much and then I forget about, feeding myself and taking care of myself. But yeah, I mean, this game was not super fun to watch, but it was nice to see moments from Jacoby and from Jamal Shed and from Scottie Barnes and even RJ Barrett, getting downhill a little bit. I want to be so downtrodden on RJ. I think his shot selection was a little bit worse. I'm glad you did the post game, but you are allowed to cut it short. No, I agree. And you know what's funny? The other day I did a 55-minute post game, and I can't remember the last time I did a 55-minute post game. And yes, but I am also reminded as I do this Penance thing. I was thinking, our posts for Penance used to reach, like, when I would look at our stories at our peak, which was around 2020, 2021, before we had to go virtual and COVID shut us down. Our posts and our reach was so expansive. Anytime we would put up a post, it'd be like hundreds of likes and so many shares, and it was just like very seductive. It was easy to get people to come out. And when I realized we just go through an entire year where we don't talk to people, we don't do summer events, we don't do newsletters, we don't post on social. My whole life became basketball for like the last 2.5 to 3 years, and now I'm kind of like stuck. Because you want to reach out to these people that you haven't talked to in almost a year, but the first thing you're asking them to do is buy passes and tickets to a festival they haven't heard about or heard from in a year. And I'm realizing that, you need to consistently provide people with value or they lose interest because people have a million options. For basketball content, if you want to listen to someone talk about hoops for 2 hours on the internet, you have a million options. Some are good, most are shit. But if I am not functional during these lives, if I'm not entertaining, and I'm gonna be honest, the last live I listened back to it, I was like, damn, I'm putting myself to sleep. I'm so boring. What am I doing here? Today at the panel, sometimes I listen back to elements of the panel because I'm curious how a particular joke or a particular talk. I was so boring on the panel today. I fucking hated it. Like I really so look, I am very cognizant of the fact that I don't get free lunch. If I don't provide value for people, this is y'all know, like we're Penance family. We're not blood family. So if I just start like producing really shit content and I stop doing my research and I stop, providing value and this is no longer entertaining, or you just go away, you find something else. And that's unfortunately the transactional nature of a lot of these, things. Look, I've had content creators that I've fucked with for years. I used to watch all their shit, but then they posted like 6, 7, 8, 9 videos that I was just like, now you're trying to sell me shit. Now you're trying to push sponsors in my face. Oh, you got a gambling sponsorship? I'm out. And these were content creators that I really fuck with. Like these were content creators that I knew. These were content creators that I knew in real life, and the big content creators, like we were friends. How fickle it can be. there's a, you know, again, it can be fickle. So I'm reminded that consistently providing value for the people around you is very, very important. And, you know, I hope that this live was good. I hope it was better. I promise that, as we move forward, they will get better. Like, I'm committed to this 100%. Don't you think that I'm going to become one of those podcasters that's just like, okay, another year, let's do the same thing. No, look, I how can I be honest about this without being whiny about this? Let me try my best. For most of my life, I have been an exceptionally capable person, like a chronic overachiever, where when I tell people what I'm doing or how I'm doing it or whatever, and we're talking all the way since childhood, this is probably an overcompensation response to deep insecurities born out of, I don't know, childhood neglect. But whatever it was, I was a very, very capable person for most of my life, which means that, I was the guy who was getting straight A's while playing four sports, while also, pursuing side interests, while also working a part time job, while also trying to have a social life, while also trying to have a girlfriend. Like, I got off on that, pause. I really enjoyed that. And for most of my life, I've done that. I've been early. I got my first major job before most of my friends. I became a president of the fraternity literally like half a year after walking into it. I bought my first home before anyone I knew at my age. I've really thrived on being successful for most of my life. I became a filmmaker at 25, 26 years old. And I got to tell you, that was the most fulfilling period of my life between 26 and 31, probably the most creatively inspiring time of my life. And I decided to take a step back because that's exactly why I set myself up the way I did in my life, is because I could take creative risks. Because I'm a person who watched my mom work 3 jobs that she hated. You may know someone who works one job they hate. I watched my mother slave around and work 3 jobs she hated so that we wouldn't starve when I was really young. So that left an impression on me that I don't want to be in that position. And so I wanted to chase what was meaningful to me. And so, making films, running Penance, this is my dream, and it's a lifelong dream. It's something that I have great ambitions for in my 40s, 50s, 60s. I have a plan for all this. But over the last 4 years, really since 2020, I have just been energetically zapped. And, I have some suspicions as to why that is, but, it's the pandemic. It's probably just a lot of, negative environment around me. And lately, I've been feeling very drained. I promise I'm not about to sell you, on lately, I've been feeling drained. And now, presenting our great sponsor, The Pillow. I've been feeling very drained. I describe myself as a cell phone that's on chronically 3% battery. I have trouble remembering things. I have, and of course, with someone with a history of brain tumors and someone who's working across like a beast, that's the first fear that we all had was, uh-oh, it's back. Because I had a similar thing happen in 2018 and I crashed pretty hard. But I think it's a sedentary lifestyle. It's a poor diet. It's too much sitting. It's probably just not enough getting out. It's probably my dog dying. It's probably a lot of things that have just kind of melted me down. And now, we've got this event, plus I've got PC, plus I've got the Raptors, and it just feels a little bit overwhelming. And it's really not that overwhelming, but it is overwhelming because, you know, you can work 40 hours a week, but you can't work 40 hours a week, if you know what I mean, right? Like, you can go to work and put in the hours, but you're not really working 40 hours a week. See, if I don't work, this shit can't happen. I can't just come on here and have a sandwich. So I have to work when I'm on here. And then I can't just go on PC and have a sandwich because I got to work when I'm on there. And I can't do anything for Pendants if I'm not actively working. So I can't just sit there and just be like, okay, I'm just going to sit here and check my text, because if I check my text, the work doesn't get done. So anyways, my point is, I look forward to not being 3% battery going forward. And I have seen, that's it. I need a mental break, right? I need a mental break, but I need sleep, bro. I haven't slept more than 3-4 hours in months. Months. We're talking months, okay? We're talking 3 a.m., 4 a.m. sleep every single night. I'm up at 7, 8 every morning. And I've been doing this shit for months. And I wanted this final week before Pendants to just really, really fucking like sleep and get well. And I have not had a chance to do that. And now I'm worried that I'm going to show up on Thursday and I'm going to be a zombie. And you know, that's yeah. But in this vulnerable moment, I do say Penance passes have gone really well. The films are incredible. I hope that you guys will be able to check it out. I do. You know, it's a fantastic event. And you know what? Thursday night, 2 screenings and drinks afterwards. If you want to come out, there's your code. Anything Thursday, that code gets you a gift on your tickets. Tell a cinema lover in your life. Honestly, like right now, our emails are going into they're going through this problem with the server because we had a hack. So last year we had somebody hack our email, which locked us out of our emails for like a month while we figured it out. And our domain was now listed as a spam domain, which fucking sucks because you know you need email marketing. We have this brilliant list of nearly 5,000 people that we've collected over the years, and we just can't reach them because our emails keep ending up in the spam folder, and we post on social and it's just not getting out enough. It's like you tell people, but it's like you're looking at the stories, and I mentioned it earlier, we used to get 300-400 people looking at our stories, and now it's like 80 to 100. If I post about Pendants on Pensare Basketball, it's way more effective than if I post Pendants on Pendants, which is fucking nuts when I think about it. My own personal Facebook, which used to be very active, like people used to follow everything I was saying, I haven't posted on Facebook in a long time. So now I want to post about Pendants and invite people. People are like, who the fuck are you? I don't remember you. We talked like 6 months ago. So again, I don't believe that I've provided a lot of value to the people in my life outside of basketball. So like, this is my basketball life. I believe my film life, my personal life, my family, I don't think I've provided any value to those people in years. So after this is over, I need to sit down and find a way to balance I need to find a way to balance my shit out. I need to balance, because I think from that balance will come a better podcast here. I think will come a better festival next year. But for now, if you have a cinema lover in your life, do me the solid. If you're someone who's watching at 2 hours and 1 minute, do me this solid. And trust me when I tell you, I would never lie to you about a basketball take. I'm not lying to you about cinema either. These films are awesome. If you have a cinema lover in your life that is free on Thursday, tell them about Penance. This is the only way this works. We don't have $1 million for an ad budget. We don't have a publicist. We're a great film festival with not a lot of money right now. So that's my only quest to you is do me this one solid. Take 2 minutes. Go to the Penance website and literally take that link on the schedule page and send it to a cinema lover that you know via DM and say, you want to check this out this weekend. Honestly, I guarantee you find something that you love at Pendants, be it the basketball documentary on Sunday. Money is not the concern here. The only concern I have is that the filmmakers feel that warmth of Toronto in the cold, okay? I'll talk to y'all later. That's probably my last sales pitch for Pendants. Maybe I will check in on Friday or Saturday from the event and let y'all know how it's going. If you're following us on X, you'll probably see some stuff about Pendants. But then Monday comes and Pendants is over. So yes. Okay. Health is wealth. I completely agree with you. Health is completely wealth. Who would do that to you guys? Yeah, honestly, I don't know who fucking hacked us, but it was terrible. And yes. You need to balance your daily life more. Play your post game to finish at a certain time so you can sleep. Yeah. Oh, I love this. This is my favorite. I love this. Here's some value provided me. 25th day of no sweets or alcohol. 4th quarter gang. Karen, please let me know sometime, either via comment or via email. Has your life gotten better because of this? Because I will tell you that for me, this no sugar thing was really difficult, especially because I'm super stressed. And there's a reason that I did the no sugar thing, because I know that during Penance time, I get stressed and I overwork, and then I tend to overindulge in the sweets. Because weirdly enough, I think, oh, I'm working so hard, I deserve it. You know what I mean? I deserve a chocolate bar. Today, I went down to the store and we have a store down in our building, which is very convenient. And occasionally we'll go down there, and maybe in the morning I don't feel like making my own coffee, so I'll just literally like stretch my legs, go downstairs, pick up a coffee from there. And there was this gigantic Toblerone that was sitting there staring at me, and I was just like, Toblerone, Penance, I could totally no, but I didn't. So I'm with you. I have not been eating sugar. The only sugar that I can honestly, honest to goodness, I broke my promise to myself 2 times. One time was the aforementioned Boston cream donut when we went to check out the gala venue. And then the next time I ate a chocolate covered cookie, but it was one, no, it was 2 cookies. It was 2 cookies. So that's all my sugar consumption for the month. And I'll tell you, that's a breakfast for me like 2 months ago. So I've been eating like shit for a while now. And I feel like there's only so much time that you can torture yourself before you literally fall apart. So my first order of business is to be better me, because when I'm a better me, I'm going to be a much better podcaster for you. You're going to see a happier, healthier version of me. Because trust me, when I'm down, when I'm bad, when I'm sleepy or whatever, these podcasts are terrible. And I know it because I listen back to them and I'm just like, oh, fuck, not today. So I'm going to be better. Thank you so much to everybody. I feel my phone vibrating, so I'm pretty sure that's because a lot of people just bought tickets. I hope that's true. I hope to meet a lot of you here. Definitely consider, as I mentioned, the game night, the drink nights, whatever. Come out, have a beer with us. It's always fun to meet people for the first time. And there's several of you who've reached out to Penance via email saying like, hey, I'm not in the city, but here's best wishes and stuff. All that shit is very appreciated. I appreciate you guys very much. James, Noble Venom, The Power, and Recruiter Dude, thank you so much for the super chats. Once again, there's your code for Thursday. And there's 2 more tickets left for basketball state on Sunday. The code is Pensare Ball 25. Gotcha. Talk to y'all later. Peace.